All right. Hey, good morning. It's the last day of August, and it's Thursday, and it's college football weekend. So, lots going on, lots to look forward to, and should be a good day. Look, last night, man, we had a great night. Hung out with Jackie Lee, my youngest son. Went over and helped him work some things out with his house, and then just hung out. Man, it was good. It was good. Just men being men and chatting about life, and really energizing in so many ways. And then tonight, Thursday night, so our coffee shop's open. We're probably going to head that way and hang out and get some coffee and just enjoy the camaraderie of all the folk that hang out. So should be fun. And then we got football, so always good. Hey, listen, let's just jump into some truth this morning. We are in the book of Luke, chapter 6, in the middle of the Sermon on the Mount. And listen, it's easy to, man, you can read, I've read volumes of books about this over the years, the Sermon on the Mount. And all of them, I think, tend to really not see the bigger context if you're not careful. And to really drill down into this. You spend too much time doing other things, but what I want to do and what we've been doing here is just trying to stick to the context of where we are and what he's trying to do. You'll see things a lot more plain. Like we'll look at judging Monday, Lord willing, and you'll see the connection to mercy. And it puts it in a whole other context. The whole judge not lest you be judged thing is taken out of context so many times that hopefully Monday we'll see what the word says itself, right? So that's where we're going. So we are in, Jesus is defining for us what it means to be a part of the kingdom. And he starts with attitude, right? We have that attitude of humility. Where we know we're poor in spirit, right? We understand that we can't be holy. We understand that. We have a hunger for it, though. We have a hunger to be righteous. We don't want to just go, well, all right, can't be, so let's move on. No, we want to know how to be righteous. We have a hunger for it, right? We also mourn the fact that we can't do this ourselves, and that we need help, and man, we really need this. And so he says that's the attitude of the kingdom, that if you do that, hey, you're blessed. If that's the posture of your life, you're blessed. Now, if you're proud and you think you're rich in ways of goodness and all of that, and you think you're righteous and you're satisfied with that, and you're happy in that state that you are, well, then you're full of pride. God's opposed to that, so there won't be any blessing. It'll just be a life of giving you what you want, which really, in the scheme of things, it's like a curse. So you don't want what you want. You want what He wants for you. And when you see that and move in underneath the authority of God, and you begin to live in submission to the King of Kings, life just is better. I don't necessarily mean your circumstances are better. I just mean the outlook and how you see life and how it comes to you, vastly different. So this is where he is. And he's shifted into this Sermon on the Mount. Now, I'm just going to, I've been working through a process. I think I may have mentioned it here. I'm not sure. But there were three things lost in the fall. There was light, there was life, and there was love. He's working on love right here to show us those are the things that he came to replace, right? He came to give us light, right? We walk in darkness. That's what the world is. It's dark. It's got this misty covering over it, demonic influence heavily in there, the system of the earth deeply entrenched in just the demonic and the earthly realm of power and pride and all of those things. Jesus says, I am the light. I'm the light of the world. I'm truth. I'm the Logos, right? And so from him we derive truth. Not from the world, not from anywhere else. And then he is the life. He came that we might have life and that we might have that in an abundant fashion. So he wants to give us life, real life. So he energizes us, not with the flesh, but with the Spirit. And that Spirit energizes and creates a connection between us and God, because he is God. And so that we have life now emanating from within us, right? This is all new. We all lost it at the fall. This is what comes back. The third thing is this concept of love. It was lost at the fall. Man turned selfish. We turned inward. We began to focus on ourselves. Genuine love is not about that. Genuine love isn't about your self-care and all of those things. It's about radiating the love of God that's been shed abroad in our heart through the Spirit that He gave us. And He says, this is how we know that we are God's children, because we love one another. This is what He's going to say here. We prove ourselves to be sons and daughters of the King, of God Most High, when we act like that. So He's showing the contrast. That's what's happening here. And let's look at it. We'll see it kind of start off in verse 27. He's talked about the attitudes, right? We looked at that. Blessed are those who mourn, then woe to those who don't, right? And so he's already looked at that. Now he says this, but I say to you who hear, crucial, ears that hear. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Pharisees were saying, love your neighbor, hate your enemy, right? That's what they were saying. Jesus is flipping the script here. Listen, when we love, we prove ourselves to be sons and daughters of the King. I want that sinking into your mind as I'm trying to get it to sink into mine. And he says, this is what it looks like. We love. We do good to those who hate us. We bless those who curse us. We pray for those who are abusive to us. We love our enemies. And then he begins to lay out what that looks like. It means that you turn the other cheek. Whoever hits you on the cheek, offer him the other also. And whoever takes away your cloak, don't withhold the tunic from him either. What's going on there? What, am I just going to get beat up? I'm just like, hey, here, hit me? No. He's simply saying, because it was a slap on the cheek, hit you on the cheek. That's an open palm. That's a slap of humiliation. That's what that represents. And what he's saying is, hey, listen, the world may not want to love you. The world may want to humiliate you. It doesn't matter. Let them keep humiliating you. I don't care. I'm going to love you anyway. This is the point of that text. We get into arguments about, well, what if somebody hits me? Or what if... No, you're missing the point. The point is about the world will try and seek to humiliate you. You're unmoved by that. Okay? So they humiliate you. Call you some caveman thinking individual who doesn't believe in evolution, or who, thinks there's a God in heaven, whatever it is, and they want to humiliate us and make us feel small. Look, that's not going to keep me from loving you. Why? Because I'm a child of the King, man. I'm a son of God. God doesn't quit loving you because you're not because you seek to humiliate Him. You seek to lure Him down to your level. God still loves you. And while you were yet sinners, Christ died for you. This is the attitude that we have. So it's that form of humiliation, and I'm going to keep coming back. Listen, we find that in the story of Hosea, when Hosea marries Gomer. She's a harlot, she's a prostitute. She humiliates him because instead of letting him fill her love tank, she continues to chase other men in the world. And God says, I want you to see what this feels like. And so he chases after her, and he tries to wall her, and he tries all of these things. But the one thing he doesn't do is quit loving her. No matter how much she humiliates, he goes and stands in the market square to buy her back. This is how that story ends. After she has just gone through one man after another, now she's just a slave to her own sexual desires and promiscuity. And he still buys her back, puts a cloak on her, calls her his wife, right? That's the kind of love. So, man, if ever a man is humiliated, it's when his wife goes chasing somebody else, right? That's sheer humiliation to a man. Like, I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes, and all of that. And he's simply saying, hey, Hosea is a picture of my love. And now Jesus is saying, hey, people humiliate you, love them anyway. That's the point. Now, the second one is give away the tunic, right? That's, hey, take my dignity. What that was, it was a power move that they would do. So if you owed a debt and they wanted it, they'd go, hey, until you pay my debt, I'm taking your cloak, right? Now, there were some laws in the Jewish culture that you had to give it back at the end of the day and all that, but sometimes they were skirting those issues. And so they were just taking it. He's like, hey, listen, when people do that, when they're trying to take your dignity and make you feel small or homeless or poor or whatever, love them anyway. Like, say, hey, well, take the shirt off my back too then. Take my coat, take the shirt, right? I'm going to love you anyway. This is the whole point. Let's don't get caught up in all of the things there that the world likes to trivialize in this text, and let's just see it for what it is. This is radical, disruptive kind of love. This is what this is. We are outliers. We're not like the rest. We're aliens and we're strangers. We look foreign. Theoretically, the church should look completely foreign to the rest of the world. Our problem is we don't. We've meshed everything together. We look no different than the world. That's to our shame, not our God's. And so we are outliers. We're disruptors. We're holy rebels. We're radicals. We just love, and we keep loving. That was the mark of the church in the first century. Go read the history of that. They were like, I don't even know what's going on with these people. They got somebody poor among them, and then they don't eat for a day to take that food and then give it to that person who's hungry. Who does that? Read the shocking commentaries and statements and journals of not Christians, non-Christians peering in going, that's the craziest people I've ever seen in my life, right? This is who we have to be. I'm going to love you anyway. So today, we come to the third one, which is that we just give without expectation. Give to everyone who asks you. And whoever takes away what is yours, don't demand it back. Now, again, we're like, well, I'm not going to give to every homeless person. They should work. The Bible says you don't work, you don't eat. All right, look, hey, we can have that conversation. That's not this conversation. This conversation is, if there's someone who has a legitimate need, give. The whole purpose of putting off the old man and putting on the new, Paul says, is that we're stealing if we're just hoarding all of our stuff. He says, let him who steal. This is how God sees it. We are stealing if we're hoarding all our stuff. If we don't have money margin to give to those who have need, we're not following after the Spirit. Listen to what he says. Put off the old man, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires. Be made new in the attitude of your mind. Put on the new self, which is created to be like Christ. Then he says this, let him who steal no longer. Let him labor with his hands, performing what is good, that he may have something to give to those who are in need. I don't just work for me and my family. I work for me and my family, and I put a little bit aside just to help your family. This is the way of Christ. Nobody does that. This is what the scriptures teach. This is how we're supposed to behave, right? People are taking advantage of these guys. That's okay. Why? Because later on we're going to see where he's going to always give seed to the sower. If I'm sowing money into people's lives, he's going to continue to give me enough resources to be able to meet not just my needs, but others too. It's a principle of the kingdom. It's a sowing and reaping thing. This is preached to say, well, if you give, you can't outgive God and you're going to get rich. No, that's silliness. What this means is we become love machines. And God, when we prove to be that vessel of honor, that channel of God's love, he's always going to make sure we have the resources to meet those needs. We're so selfish. All we think is, well, God promises to meet my needs. No, he promises to meet your needs and others' needs through you. This is powerful that you and I can see this. And so then he gives us the golden rule, right? Treat people the same way you want them to treat you. Now, he's appealing to us now to say, listen, we know how to self-love. And the Pharisees do that well, right? We know what that is. Now, take that, flip it, turn the tables, right? This is the point. It's a new perspective. Take your self-love, because everybody loves himself, and flip it. What if I love those people in the same way I love to receive love? That's the game changer. That's the whole point. And so what does it look like? Well, it looks like and I use this illustration constantly, really, when I'm dealing with people. So I'm going to go buy a new car. I'm going to sit down. If it's about me, I'm going to try and jab that guy until I get every dollar I can saved and to get that car for the absolute cheapest price I can. And then I'm going to feel good about it, and I'm going to talk to my neighbors about it. I'm going to tell them, man, you should have seen me. I got that thing for nothing. Well, good for you. But that has nothing to do with this golden rule here. You don't get credit for that, because now let's go that same scenario and you put yourself in the place of being the salesman. He's got a family he's trying to feed. He's chosen to sell cars. He needs a little margin because he's going to sell it to you at a good price, but he's going to make some money. He's going to make his commission. That's how he feeds his family. If you're him, Do you want somebody to come and just rip away all your commission at every turn? Is that how you want to be treated? No. Then don't treat that man that way. It's a game changer. It changes how you see things and how you buy things and how you treat people. It's all of that. And so this is that golden rule. Man, this thing is powerful in that sense. We could go on and on about it, but that's all it means. Do it in the area of your money. Do it in the area of your kindness. Do you like to be yelled at? I don't. Well, then don't yell at others. It's not that hard. Why are you yelling? You don't want people to yell at you. Stop it. Grow up. Understand this is what love looks like. Jesus said, look, it's not that hard. Just, if you don't know how God loves and can't comprehend that, then you know how you want to receive love. Do that, right? You want respect? Well, give respect. You want trust? Well, give trust. This is how it operates. This is what it looks like on the most practical level. Yet we can't fathom how to make that work in our own life. We say, I'm a practice the golden rule. Really? But yet we don't, because we treat other people like we don't want to be treated ourselves. And he's simply saying, this is a whole nother level of love. This is what it looks like, right? Now, he goes through verse 33 through 36, and he's just given us an exhaustive list reminder. This is a preacher doing what he did. He shared point one. Now he's going to review point one. He's going to move on to another one. But this is what he does. And so Jesus now in 33 through 36 is reviewing everything he said. And so he says this, and if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? Great. You're going to do good to somebody who does good to you. You don't. That's you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours thing. That's quid pro quo stuff. He said, God doesn't do quid pro quo. God loves you. God's merciful. God's kind to you. Whether you're a pagan or not, God loves you. Whether you're pagan or not, God's kind to you. Lets the sun rain down on you. Lets the water rain down. He doesn't just happen to the people that love him. He doesn't go, oh, it's going to rain at Pardue's house, but it's not going to rain next door to his neighbor's house because that's a pagan. No, God's kind to everybody. And God's merciful to everybody. Listen, if he was not merciful, if he gave us what we deserve, we'd all be dead. And so we're just simply, now that we are alive, that we have the light of God, we have the life of God, and we have the love of God in us, we're going to live like God. Anyone who claims to be in Jesus must walk like he did. That's how John says it. And this is how we live our life. So let's look and see what it says. If you do good to those who do good to you, what? You don't get credit for that. Everybody does that. That's no brainer. That's the whole quid pro quo stuff. For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those whom you expect to receive, you lend to people who have good credit, and that's the only people you lend to, well, big deal. But that's what the banks do. That's what everybody does. But the banks don't help the guy that's down, do they? No, because it's all about them. And this is the point here. Hey, listen, lend to some people that might need a helping hand. Encourage somebody. Do something like that. And then he says, even sinners lend to sinners in order to receive back the same amount. Then verse 35, but love your enemies, do good, lend, expect nothing in return. Listen, be unmoved. The word forbearance, if you break it down, it means to put up with each other. But what it literally means, like when you start applying it to your life, is that I am unmoved by people. You're not going to dictate how I love you, how I give to you, and how I respect you and show mercy to you. I'm going to do that to you no matter how you come at me, no matter how you're packaged. I don't pick and choose. I'm speaking this prophetically, right? Because we all do. The goal is that we don't, right? This is what he's saying. Love your enemies. Don't hate them. Love them. Love your enemies. Do good to them. That's what it looks like to love them. Do good to them. Hey, they need money? Lend it to them. Expect nothing in return. And he says, your reward will be great. You will be sons of the Most High. What's he saying there about that reward? Our reward where? Here in this life and the one to come. Our reward here is that I find that I walk in the favor of God because I am acting like the child of God. And so that's a healthy thing. I'm rewarded because some of these people will become brothers and sisters because I have loved them in such a way that their heart is open and they respond to the gospel of Christ. And now I've gained more brothers and sisters. But I also have reward them when I get to heaven. I will have those that God allowed me to love indiscriminately, and they're with me there in heaven. And also, there's the rewards and blessings that come just for doing, because we're judged and rewarded in heaven based on the things that we do here. And so that reward is a huge reward. Reward or not, we ought to do it because we're sons and daughters of the King. And then he says, and be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. That right there is this. We're to be kind and merciful. We're kind. That is that we give to people what they don't deserve. We're merciful in that we withhold what they do deserve. Right? That leads us into judging, and we'll look at that next week. Lord bless you. Have a great weekend. Can't wait to see you.